Hey, everybody, we have a hot show coming up. If you're on YouTube, just don't go anywhere real quick. I'm going to just do my dates real quick. These are for people who want to see me live. Syracuse this Friday, August 2nd. Albany, August 3rd, Saturday. Soul Joe's in Pottstown, PA, August 9th. I'll be in St. Louis, September 5th through the 7th. Dania Beach, Florida, September 13th through the 15th. Tacoma, Washington, September 19th through the 21st. Las Vegas for Skankfest, September 27th through the 29th. West Nyack, New York, October 11th through the 13th. Brea, California, October 25th through the 27th. Milwaukee Improv, December 5th through the 7th. Austin, the Mothership, December 20th to the 22nd. In Rochester, January 16th through the 18th at Comedy at the Carlson. Tickets, YannisPappasComedy.com. It's a heater. Stick around. Good afternoon, everybody. It's your favorite fake newscaster, Yannis Pappas, or Yannis Pappas, or Yan Pap. If you're African-American, or Yanni, or Yanni, or Giannis, or the Robo Cheeseman, if you know me from high school. What's up, everybody? We are giving you tomorrow's news today so we can make yesterday better, but we're giving you yesterday's news today so we can also make tomorrow better, because time is an illusion. There's multiple platitudes. Platitude's not the right word. There's multiple planes of existence, and there's also universes we can't see. There's something more out there, I'm sure of it. Everyone who's been on a trip or peyote has said that, including Tony Soprano in the third to last episode of the final season. There's something else out there. I can't explain it, but women are buses, and they're supposed to drop us off, and we keep trying to get back on the bus. That's what he said. And then Dr. Melfi said that's deep, because Tony Soprano's got mommy issues, so stop trying to get back on the bus. And by bus, I think he was referring to only American women who got big, big moms. They're all big. Even though McDonald's is down 12% in net profits because Americans are choosing to eat another fast food that's still making them fat. Pick your poison. It's not because you're choosing salad. It's not because they're doing the Mediterranean diet. I think Arby's just is doing a pretty good campaign by going, where's the meats? Whatever it is. Something like that, right? McDonald's is down. So I think there's just more options. Five Guys. People are going to Five Guys. I think they're going to Shake Shack. I don't think they're necessarily eating healthier. So I don't think this is the time to celebrate that health care costs will go down because preventative measures have been taken into their own hands by the citizens of North America. I don't think so. I just think some other fucking fat fast food fostering company is eating in on those profits. It's sort of like the podcast boom, but for fast food. There's a lot of options. Project 2025, we're going to get into what it is. We're going to get into what it is and who's behind it, because the leader just stepped down because Trump said, I'm not into Project 2025. I'm not into anything that doesn't have my name on it. I think that was his biggest problem. He was like, if you're going to call it something, you want me to support it, you're going to have to pay me a licensing fee to slap my name on it. That's the way he likes to make his money, slapping his name on it, baby. A lot of people don't know. A lot of his buildings he didn't own. He just licensed his name and slapped it on it because people used to love Donnie T. And by people, I mean liberals. But now the only people that like Donnie T are half the country, and a lot of whom are listening to this episode. So stick around. I'm not going to Donnie T hate because I want you to stick around. That's about it. I don't care what you think about me. Just know that I love you. And I care about you and your presidential candidate, whoever that may be, male or female. I don't care. I don't care whether you think people without kids should get taxed more or not, like J.D. Vance said. J.D. Vance said people without kids should be taxed more. And that's when Jesse Scaturo changed his vote to Kamala. People gave me shit for pronouncing it wrong. It's not Kamala. It's Kamala. Kamala, like Camelot, like Kamala. But, you know, what I say to that is hijab, hijib, tomato, tomato. So we will talk about Project 2025 and its war on the feminist movement to not have kids, be 40, and bang 20-year-old guys. That's essentially all I got from 2025 is they just want chicks to be baby machines. And chicks are going, this is a war on chicks. You're coming for our reproductive rights, and you're coming for our single cougar lifestyle. This is cougar hunting. And I am not for it unless it's at a private reserve and you can gun down these cougars one by one and force them into to have IV treatments. I think that's what they want to do. I think what J.D. Vance wants to do is set up sort of a Matrix type scenario where these chicks are hooked up to in vitros and they're just pumping sperm in there and forcing them to have American babies. We want more. They want more babies. The Republicans just want more babies. And you know, that used to be just a position for the Catholic Church. Nobody loves an unwanted baby more than the Catholic Church. That's what you call a supply chain for the Catholic Church. Anyway, you know, you can't, paid attention to kids are hard to groom. Let's be honest. Lot to talk about. G20 countries are trying to tax the rich across the globe, and we're going to discuss whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to say it's a good thing because I'm not in the super rich. That's a simple one. Here is the most shocking news to come to you this week. Ozzy Osbourne is alive. This is the Yannis Pappas Hour, where we turn news into potatoes.
Yannis Pappas. Yeah. When you all tucked up in the day been long, and the news online going on and on, what's right and wrong, and there's something up. Now here comes a great kid you know you can trust. From the true who's who to the news and cameras to the fake politics and the propaganda. Yeah, this kid's screwed in, got a lot to say. Oh shit, it's about to be a long day. It's a long day.
So I would like to start this episode with the news that I enjoyed the most that we covered in our prep meeting, in our pre-production meeting. We discovered a story that's close to every Japanese billionaire and millionaire's heart, every Star Wars geek's heart. Anyone who loves Star Wars, who's got a little scratch in their pocket, is paying attention to this developing story. Princess Leia's bikini, her bikini from the set of Star Wars, the one that she wore, of course, they wouldn't want to get like one she didn't wear. It's not like, hey, let's just get the costume. It's like, hey, I want the one she wore from all those years ago. Sells at auction for $175,000. Somebody bought her bikini, which is basically skin on cloth, for $175K. It includes hip rings and bracelets, but nobody was into that. Nobody's really into that. The real hamburger on that plate, I'm not talking about the broccoli and the French fries. I'm talking about the main course for that auction sale is Princess Leia's bikini. Wow, was she a looker back in that day? I don't think the name of the man who bought it, and let's be honest, we know it was the man who bought it, has been released, but my guess, it's a name that, when said, sounds like you threw out your back and you're trying to lift a box. No question this didn't go to a Japanese business guy who has already cleaned out every vending machine in Tokyo. This is like a Hall of Fame piece of underwear right here. And here's the deal. It sold for $175K, and I bet you it was up to $400K until the guy who kept going at the auction was told that it was washed. Once he found out it was washed, he only put up $175. He was willing to go to $400K for an unwashed bikini bottom. But once it hits the water and soap, it really drops in value. I mean, old bikinis, if you want to call them that, they're basically tantamount to panties. It's like a car off the lot, right? So when you buy a car, it has a certain value. As soon as you slide that car and drive it off the lot, the value of the car drops. The same theory, the same anatomy applies to female underwear. Once it is washed, where you essentially drive it off the lot. When you wash it, it drops in value. The real value of her underwear is that it has not been washed. That is really what would have, it might have went for $1 million if it had never touched Tide. But I think that was a good compromise price, and I think he can maybe take it and rub it in some garbage to get the sort of intended effect that he wants. So anyway, I didn't know if you knew that. I know there's a lot of Star Wars geeks out there. But Princess Leia's bikini is no longer available. I would have thought it would have went for much higher. That's why I know it was washed. Because that's a collector's item. There's only one of those. There's only one that Princess Leia actually wore. And so there's some lucky guy who's masturbated to that many times who now owns her bikini bottom. I love how they threw in the hip rings and the bracelets as if that's really what the guys wanted. It's one of the most memorable costumes in film history. I wonder why. It was sold in Dallas, Texas. So I can tell you what happened on that weekend at that auction. You want to know what happened? First class tickets from Tokyo were through the roof. There was a huge influx, right? Some airline was like, what's going on? Is there a Toyota convention happening in Fort Worth? Why are so many Japanese businessmen coming to Dallas? I'll tell you why. Because they're coming to bid on one of the most prized possessions. It's a national prized possession in Japan right now. I think they're going to put it on display like this. They'll put it in like behind glass. They'll put Princess Leia's panties behind glass at a Tokyo museum, fully, but with just a little air path. So it'll be behind glass, but then you can just fit your nose right in upside down and take a sniff. So I wanted to start with that news because it really made me smile. Also, Ozzy Osbourne criticizing Britney Spears for dancing over and over again made me smile. And like I said, I'm very surprised that Ozzy Osbourne is still alive, dude. Wasn't that like 30 years ago now? Wasn't he old when the Osbourne reality show started? And didn't he have like crazy Parkinson's then? I mean, what's he doing now? Do they have to move him? Can he move? He has enough vitality in him to get very angry at Britney Spears' videos. So he got really mad and he said, will she stop fucking doing the same fucking dance every day? Here's the funny thing. A lot of people always say that they want to go back in history to kill Hitler, right? That's like the main, although some people want to go back in history now to tell Hitler how to avoid it. There's a couple accounts on Twitter that are like, I'd love to go back in history just to tell Hitler, like, just wait for Russia. But people always say that. They want to go back in history so they can kill Hitler. But nobody ever says an equally important thing to do is to go back in history and kill Rob Perlman, the guy who created Backstreet Boys. Like, isn't it important to go back and stop boy bands? Why is that not equally important? The guy Perlman, what's his name? And there's a documentary about him on Netflix right now. And it's fascinating to watch just because he created these boy bands as just one part of this massive, massive scam that he was running. He was just running a scam. He was just getting investors, and he had a fake airline company, and he had these blimps, and he was crashing these blimps for the insurance money. And it's just fascinating for that reason, because this guy was a massive scam artist. A lot of people don't know that he ended up in like prison and then died in prison. Like, he got convicted for dirty pop business. Lou Pearlman. What did I say? Ron Perlman. I apologize to the actor Ron Perlman. But Lou Pearlman, it's a very interesting documentary. So everyone says that about Hitler, but they never say about the importance of stopping boy bands. You could go back in history and just like, I don't know, toss Chris Kirkpatrick into a gator lagoon, and it's over because he's the one that put NSYNC together. NSYNC was great. I'm joking. Of the boy bands, I think they were the best. I assume. But Ozzy Osbourne, it made me think of that because Ozzy Osbourne, I think, was just mad because like it's Britney Spears and he's like a rock and roller, and Sharon, I'm a rock and roller, and then he apologized to Britney because I think Jack and Kelly probably gave him a talking to, and he said, "Sorry, Britney, we still think you rock." They had to sit there with the PR reps to figure out the statement. I'm not saying that. I'm Ozzy Osbourne. I'll say rock. It has to say rock here. I won't say anything besides rock. It must say rock in there. We still think you rock. She doesn't rock. She never rocked. She rocks more than she did before, but that's from medication. She's doing sort of like a alone in her room rock. Yeah, it was bad because Britney Spears is in a constant psychotic episode. Like she's in constant psychosis, and it's just being documented on Instagram. It's not good for children to see that. So I understand he's upset about it. I want it down. I want it down because it's like a national tragedy. She is beloved by so many people, and you don't want to document the downfall of a woman's mental health. He said, with the legendary rock star was able to keep things positive. He said, Ozzy said, however, it would be better if you didn't do the same fucking dance every day. Change a few movements. What you don't understand, Ozzy, is she's got a leak in her roof. She's not doing the same dance every day to annoy you. She's got a leaky roof. The girl has a hole in her roof. That's a great expression for, I created that, by the way. It means that somebody's a little crazy is when they got a leak in their roof. All right, and then he goes, all right, I was going to say, Brittany, never stop dancing. I love you dancing. If it makes you happy, I'm so sorry if I offended you. Who said that? Oh, Sharon.
Let me get back to that. I'm sorry. All right, I was going to say, Brittany, never stop dancing. If I love your dancing, it makes you happy. And I'm so sorry if any of us offended you. My name is Sharon Osbourne. And my face looks like I'm going 100 miles an hour in a wind tunnel. Listen, I like Britney.
Everyone likes Britney, man. Look at Sharon still looking good at 71. And look at Jack Osbourne on keto. Remember when he was just a fat? Look at him now. He's doing good. He's an entrepreneur. I'm sure his Instagram says entrepreneur. But before she can continue, Ozzy interjected, I love Britney Spears, but it's the same fucking dance every day. Ozzy, why are you watching Britney Spears dance the same dance every day with two knives? Do you remember the two knives dance? Yeah, it's just, I want Instagram to do something about this account. I mean, I don't know what's worse. Watching like street fight videos or like shootings or CCV or watching Britney Spears' mental decline every day doing the same dance. And then just seeing the comment section, we're worried about you, we're worried about you, we're worried about you. And here she is just dancing with two knives in the same spot. It's the same dance every day. She's got a leak in her roof, man. She's got a leak in her roof. So Ozzy, that was very insensitive. It's like yelling at somebody who's got a problem. Here she is pointing the knife at the camera. Sharon labeled Spears a poor little thing, saying her situation is heartbreaking and very sad indeed. And he just said, every fucking day, same dance. But then he said he was fed up seeing poor Britney Spears on YouTube every fucking day. What are you doing watching Britney Spears every day on YouTube? It's very, very sad. It is sad. But it is, her body still looks good. She's still hitting the gym. She's got to hit that mental gym a little bit. They got to find the right balance of whatever it is that's going to make her change the dance at least. She does just twirl and twirl and twirl every day. She's like, I don't know what she has, but she's like trapped in time. It's like, I think maybe she has some sort of dementia where she forgets that she did that dance yesterday. Because every day, and it's at the same spot in her big mansion. I mean, this is Grey Gardens. This is Grey Gardens. She's just a rich, famous girl who's aging, who, you know, was thrust into the spotlight with a less than mediocre voice and, you know, really should have tapped out in being a former Disney star. She should be, you know, a grandma at Disney World in Orlando. She should be working at like a fast food taco spot in Orlando is what Britney should have been doing. And so her mental health this is above her pay grade to be this famous, this poor girl. So I feel bad for her. But she has kids. So that's the most important part. Now, is Project 2025 okay if you have kids with Kevin Federline? So like, what kind of kids are we talking about? Do they want to do like a Nazi population increase program, or are we just going, whoever the father is, that's fine? Shouldn't you be able to get an abortion based on who the father is? Maybe the Republicans would like that. Be like, let's do a little rundown on the father's history. So is Britney okay in 2025 because she has kids, or does the mother being Britney Spears and the father being Kevin Federline all like counteract that? I don't know. I don't know how her kids are doing, but they're probably doing a lot better if they have a block on Instagram, so they don't have to see mommy twirling every day. Project 2025 is an interesting thing. It's been in the news everywhere, and nobody really quite knows what it is. But it is a conservative, like, plan, what do you say, mantra, a call to action, a document where they got 4 pillars. 4 pillars is what they want. They want to restructure the federal government and everything. And it's a playbook, I guess is a good way to put it. It's sort of like a playbook, a call to action for what they want to happen in the first 180 days in office. The first pillar is they want all women to be impregnated. So every woman on the 5th day will be visited by a gentleman caller, and they will be impregnated. So every woman's got to have a kid. It's like a buddy system. If you're a woman without a kid, I think you get thrown in a camp or something. I think that's the main pillar. They're really coming after women and trying to tell them what to do. It's very interesting because this is coming from the party that's all about freedom and stuff. And they really want to restrict what a woman can do with her life. They want her having kids. They want these people having kids. So it's an advisory board of 100 conservative groups. And it's spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation. And the head guy just stepped down because Trump called it a quackery, and he said he's not affiliated with it or whatever, even though they were previously like supporting him, right? And trying to pin their hopes on him or whatever. I think Ben Shapiro defends it or doesn't defend it. I don't know. Ben Shapiro, he's lost half his audience, right? Because of his Israeli position. So he's lost half of the conservatives who think that all we do is protect Israel, and they want to stop that. So it's a mandate for leadership. The recommendations are outlined in a sprawling plan that reaches every corner of the executive branch, from the executive office of the president to the Department of Homeland Security and the little-known Export-Import Bank. So what they want to do is force every woman to have a kid. They want to build a dome over the country with a wall so nobody can come in. They want to, I think, get prayers in schools, get rid of drag queens. They want to get rid of DEI. They want to make the military all men on roids. They want to spend zero on climate change. I'm just making all this up. What do they want to do? What do they want? They want to get rid of federal agencies. They want to do a bunch of stuff. They want a cabinet-level border and immigration agency staffed by more than 100,000 employees. What do they want to do with that? They want to turn it in. They want to just, I think ultimately they want murder drones at the border. Just murder drones. Just a bunch of hovering murder drones that are just firing lasers at Hispanics. I think that's Project 2025. It calls for the next presidential administration to eliminate or reform the dietary guidelines that have been published by the Department of Agriculture for more than 40 years, which the authors claim have been infiltrated by issues like climate change and sustainability. They want to get rid of that. They want more beef. They want more meat. They're getting into everything. They want engage in ideological agitation on behalf of the DEI agenda. Should be terminated. I got that one right. Immigration. They want to roll out catapults. They want to do a brown paper bag test. If you got a tan, they want you in the air in a catapult. They just want to launch. They want to launch over a big, beautiful wall. They want they want nothing taking place at schools, playgrounds, churches. What they want. They want everyone back in Catholic school. That's what they want. They want women in burqas. They want them in nun outfits. What does Trump say about it? He goes, I know nothing about it. I have no idea who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Wow. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. Trump's pushback came after, so the president, Kevin Roberts, said in a podcast interview that the nation is in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. So don't fucking try. So this is a revival. They're trying to have a revival. America's had a few great revivals. They're still going for that revival. They're going for that revival. They want every family to have 20 kids. They want to tax you if you don't have kids, right? That was one of the things they proposed, right? Who proposed? That was J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance wanted, he really does not like a chick without a kid. He's not into it. He really wants people to reproduce. Do you think that's because he's from the Appalachia? He's from the Appalachian Mountains. So when he left that area and didn't he go to Harvard? Mm-hmm. And he saw like normal looking people. He was just so amazed that you could make that he said, let's do more of that. This person has two eyes that are separated pretty well. They got two ears, a nose, and a mouth. Let's do more of this. Because he probably was in Appalachia going like, we got to do less of this. And then he got out and he's like, we got to do with more normal people more of that. Maybe could it be? He likes calling chicks without kids cat ladies. I like to call them cougs. I like to call them chicks who let you go raw daddy because they ain't so concerned about the old womb. I think they're great. I like to call them Bon Jovi fans. I like to call them girls with a little bit of a front package, a little front pouch, high jeans, fun at bars, available. I like to call them high school teachers. He said that the country's leadership class was more sociopathic than those with children and made the country less mentally stable. So he's saying like leaders like AOC who doesn't have kids, right? Does Nancy Pelosi have kids?
Yeah.
With Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Kamala Harris doesn't have any kids from her womb.
I think that's what the comment was originally about.
Oh. But she has stepkids or something, right? Because she's dating some person of the tribe. She got a white tribe, a Jewish person. Are they white? Depends on who's listening, right? It's like, it depends on who's listening. So he's going after her for that, but she's got a couple stepkids, right? So I guess they got to come from your womb. He later tried to clean up his comments on Megyn Kelly's podcast. He was like, obviously it was a sarcastic comment. I've got nothing against cats. Said, adding that his remarks were not about criticizing people without children, but rather focused on policy, and claimed the Democratic Party has become anti-family and anti-child. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone talk about policy in a long time. All I hear is cat ladies. All I hear is they're coming for women. All I hear is threat to democracy. All I hear is fascism. All I hear is criminal. All I hear is lock her up. All I hear is roasts. I haven't heard a policy. I don't know who's doing what. I don't know what their policies are. I have no clue. All I know is I'm under the impression that the Democrats just want to kill every baby and the Republicans are trying to save every baby. And that's about it. The Democrats want the border completely open and the Republicans want it closed. That's it. I don't know the specifics of how they do anything one way or the other, because I think politicians are at the point now where they're just appealing to our brainstem. They're just appealing to our brainstem, wherever the reptilian brain is, and they're just going like, hey, this other side wants to put you in a camp. This other side wants to put you in a camp. And then the other side's going, this other side just wants you to be replaced by Mexicans at all costs so they can get votes. And that's all I know. That's what's the predominant thing in my brain, right? What are the issues? What are the plans? You look into the details, there's different stories. You go, border crossings are down. Biden passed this thing. He started going heavier on it, but he does have the most border crossings. Then you look at Obama's border crossings. He deported the most, much more than anyone else. You know, the deporter in chief. What are they doing? What is the exact policies? Are we putting a wall up? Where? How much is it? What is it? What's it going to cost? They don't do that anymore because they realize people just don't have the bandwidth to understand that anyway. They used to at least pay lip service to that stuff and speak to the specifics and the details of what their plan was. Now they just go, listen, dude, I know you don't got a lot of time. I know you're scrolling right now. I know most of you are online. I know you're on a bus or you're at a stoplight. Let's get this quick across. The Democrats are trying to replace you with Jews and Mexicans. I got 4 seconds. Let's get it across. And the Democrats go, the Republicans are trying to enact a religious Christian Ayatollah dictatorship that they'll never let go of. And they're all racist. And then you go, did it turn green? And you go, that's what it is. There is no question that the change in media and how we consume media has conditioned politicians and strategists to tweak their message into sensationalized sound bites, because that's how we consume news. You know, it used to be these long, drawn-out arguments on cable news. Do you remember that? That's where most people, and they used to drag them out. A half hour of a crossfire-type debate with that Vance guy from CNN and, Sean Hannity going at it. Bill O'Reilly up there for a half hour going, shut up, and this and that. But nobody's watching that anymore. Jon Stewart isn't even effective, even though he's back, because everyone's forgot that he's on Monday nights. It's can you show me an 8-minute clip? And 8 minutes is pushing it. 8 minutes is pushing it. You got to really get your point across to the body politic in seconds. And the way you do that is with just a quick, extreme call to arms against the other side. And so that's what everyone's doing now. That's all this is. Cat lady. Childless kids. Threat to democracy. criminal. What did he call Joe? What was he calling Joe? Crooked Joe, Crooked Hillary. What was his nickname for Joe? Sleepy Joe. It's quick. So you get in 2 words, you get the whole point across. Donald Trump was the first internet president, and since Donald Trump, that's what people have done to compete with him. He changed the game like Wilt Chamberlain. They got to change the rules or something where there's like no more political commentary on TikTok, or it's all got to take place on a 4-hour podcast hosted by Joe Rogan. It's got to go back. You got to do something because he changed the rules. We've talked about that in previous episodes where they've had to like shore up all this stuff because he's just come in like a filibuster and just fucking, tried to change electors and states. And they were like, well, there's a loophole. You can do that. I'm like, oh, we got to shore that up. We covered it in previous episodes. But nobody's really talking about that because people are making too much money yelling all this stuff back and forth on their podcasts and their Twitters and everything else. What has happened is that. What has happened is when social media started, news gave away their news for free, right? They just threw it up there. And then when people were getting it for free, they're like, I'm not paying for the paper anymore. Not only do I not want to pay for it, I also don't want to hold a dirty pile of paper anymore. It's easier to hold it on the phone. They were just behind the technology, and then they tried to do subscriptions. What do you do every time you click on an article that says subscribe for $2.99? You just find another article. You go to a lesser-known Gazette, The Economist. You're like, fuck The Economist. I'm just going to go find ktz.org in Tallahassee that covered the story, 3rd or 4th or 10th hand, and I'm going to read it there for free. And then social media increasingly got faster. So you got to grab people's attention. And so that is how we have arrived where we are. It is the technology got out way ahead. And this technology was about the speed of information, right? And the access to information and the scope of that. And the scope is endless. I mean, it's fucking seemingly endless like the universe. You can just keep Googling and keep going next page, next page, next page, next page. And so there's too many options, so they got to get you real quick. So when Trump came in, he understood that. Crooked Hillary, he was coming in because his whole movement was online. He wasn't a mainstream candidate. They kind of rebelled against him. He was an outsider. He really was. So they didn't want him, but he took to the internet. He was like a podcast before everyone realized that television was dead. You know what I mean? He was like the Joe Rogan of presidential candidates. Everyone's still going, we're doing this old system. DC, it's the DC system. Just like Hollywood was like, it's the Hollywood system. We're putting out another sitcom. We're spending another $14 trillion on a pilot. Meanwhile, fucking podcasters are in these little speedboats zipping around collecting ad revenue and Patreon subscriber money while these big cruise ships are trying to just turn. There's a change in the marketplace. There's a change in how people consume content. Let's take this old ship and try to adapt it. Meanwhile, fucking Andrew Schultz is in there cutting his hair with a two-person team. Here's my Indian. Here's my black. We're getting all demographics. I'm a one-man fucking Madison Avenue fucking firm, baby. No overhead, no cost. I'm recording from my living room. And Trump was down there with a lower budget, funding some of it, just going, Crooked Hillary, lock her up. So that's essentially what Trump was. Trump was that in politics, in presidential elections. He was that. He was the podcasts of presidential elections. Just like podcasts were to the entertainment business, Trump's candidacy was to DC and the establishment. Nobody ever talks about that, but that's what it was. He got elected online. It was online. Little clips, little sound bites. He was quick with that shit. He didn't understand the fucking issues. He was just going up there just making fun of Jeb Bush. Nobody ever seen anything like that. And where did you see those clips? They were clipped out. It wasn't in, where they can have maximum effect. You cut out the rest of the long debate and you cut out that little clip And you go, Jeb, what do you call him? He was like, you're the fucking Fredo of the family or something. He just ripped his family, talked about his wife. You know, he called the fat guy fat, Governor Christie. It was just perfect. Little sound bites in clip form. Donald Trump was the Andrew Schultz of presidential candidates. He did it. He mastered it.
Low energy.
Low energy Jeb. He called Pete Buttigieg Alfred E. Newman. He called Elaine Chao Coco Chow. He was just doing it for the clips. He's the first one who broke it up and put it into clips. And so nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. He had a name for everybody. Let's go through them. Mini Mike Bloomberg. George P. Bush, he called My Bush. Jeb Bush, Low Energy Bush. Pete Buttigieg, Alfred E. Newman, or Boot Edge Edge. Elaine Chao was Coco Chow. Chris Christie was Sloppy Chris Christie. Bill Clinton was Wild Bill. And then for Hillary, he had a bunch, like a rapper in Wu-Tang. He had Crazy Hillary, Crooked Hillary, Lion Hillary, Beautiful Hillary, Leakin' James Comey, Lion James Comey, Shady James Comey, Slimeball James Comey, and my favorite, Slippery James Comey. And then, of course, for Ted Cruz, I remember he called him Lion Ted. Then for Ron, of course, Ron DeSanctimonious. That just stuck. Meatball Ron. Rob. And he called him Tiny D. Betsy DeVos, he called her Ditzy DeVos. Jeff Flake, he called Jeff Flaky. Nikki Hurley, he called Bird Braid. You know, Kamala Harris, he called Laughing Kamala or Lion Kamala. Asa Hutchinson, he called her Ada Hutchinson. This is a good one. Letitia James, he called Peekaboo. If you don't know who Letitia James is, New York. He called James Mattis, go back. James Mattis, he called him Mad Dog. I think that was his name, though. Okay, Kevin McCarthy, he called him My Kevin. Mitch McConnell, he called Broken Old Crow. Evan McMullen, he called Evan McMuffin. Omarosa, he called Wacky Omarosa. Gavin Newsom, this is a good one. Governor Newscum. And of course, Crazy Nancy or Nervous Nancy. Wacky Jackie for Jackie Rosen, Senator from Nevada. Here's a good one. Rod Rosenstein, United States Deputy Attorney General. He called him Mr. Peepers. Marco Rubio got another little Marco. Yeah. Bernie's Crazy Bernie. Adam Schiff, Pencil Neck. And Shifty Schiff. Chuck Schumer, Crying Chuck. Jeff Sessions, Attorney General. He called him Mr. Magoo. Jack Smith, Deranged Jack Smith. Luther Strange, former senator from Alabama. King Luther. And of course, Elizabeth Warren with the famous Pocahontas. So he understands the media landscape. Quick, hard hits, low brow, appeal to the brainstem, get a laugh, hook them in right away. You know, that's how you hook them right away. And it's not so much about the details of the issues anymore. It's more entertainment. Even my wife, who doesn't know anything about politics, she goes, it's just entertainment now. It's like watching entertainment. It's not, it used to be boring and they would be respectful to one another and they'd drag on about these issues and differences and issues and they'd split hairs over the way they would execute these differences on the same issues. Now it's just rapid fire, internet generation, soundbite clip worthy roasts. So, that's where we are. I don't know what to tell you. Venezuela is having riots because Maduro won 51% of the vote because America said, hey, we'll loosen some sanctions if you have a fair election, right? So he won by 51%. And people are rioting because they don't believe it. They don't believe it. They don't believe that that was the results. So Biden and Lula urge Venezuelan authorities to release detailed presidential election voting data. I mean, they're just going to release the data that says it was 51%. So Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva is also getting on this, and he called for the government to release the voting data to, I guess, to calm the riots. But electoral authorities have said that, of course they have, that Maduro won. But the opposition says their candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, secured more than twice as many votes in Sunday's election. In a joint statement, Biden and Maduro ally Lula said they agreed on the need of an immediate release of full, transparent, detailed voting data at the polling station level by the Venezuela electoral officials. Both presidents said the outcome represents a critical moment for democracy in the hemisphere. Criticism has mounted since electoral authorities declared him the winner this week. So they're pissed in Venezuela because they don't believe the results. I don't know. Was this a free and fair election? Let's look at some of the facts. First of all, Venezuela is a beautiful country with a nice coastline, lots of oil. They should be flourishing, right? He's been in power since 2013. How do you stay in power since 2013 when you have over 7.7 million Venezuelans fleeing the country due to economic hardship and political repression? Severe shortages of food, medicine, and basic services. And then there's this chance to take the guy out of office who's been in power since 2013, and he wins by 51%. He goes, let's make it believable. Let's make it believable. 51%. Human rights concerns, judiciary independence concerns. There's widespread impunity for abuses by security forces. The government's restricted freedoms of expression, targeting journalists, human rights defenders, labor activists, harassments. To say the least, I'd say Venezuela has been navigating a very complex and challenging time, to put it mildly. They want a revolution. They want this guy out. So obviously the people know that he didn't win because they want him out. But thousands of opposition supporters gathered outside the United Nations off in Caracas, and they're protesting all over the country. Meanwhile, Maduro's allies appeared on television. By allies is like 10 rich guys and then a bunch of people that are trickled down with money. So the only thing we were willing to negotiate is a peaceful transition. So this thing's going to go good. This ain't going to go good. This is one of the things where, you know, he had his chance. You see, this is what greed does. This is what greed does. This is where I would have exited quietly. I mean, he's probably got coffers full of money while he's just been in his corrupt way, just all his people are starving and he's just filling his coffers, him and his friends. They're just caking off with whatever they're doing with all that oil money. This is when you make the peaceful exit, right? It's like Pablo Escobar. He had his chance to just walk away, move to Europe, you know, but he kept just burying money in the ground because you just can't it's too intoxicating. And then you got to say that the personality of somebody like this, he's not a guy who wants to walk away. He wants more and 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 more. So this, if I was him, I would have been like, all right, let's just make an exit right here. Let this guy win. I walk away, peaceful. Now he's going to end up upside down with his lover, and every citizen's going to go by and spit on him, and he's just going to get the Mussolini treatment. Mark my words. And that's how it works. You either get out when it's the time to get out, or you get the Mussolini treatment. That is the lesson that Yanni is trying to tell you. When your time's up, if you've been stealing, walk away, or else you're going to get the Mussolini treatment. So I assume most of these Venezuelans are in Florida. I mean, that's where every Latin American who wants to make something of his life gets to. I mean, they're in Doral, Florida, which they call Little Venezuela, and they're all doing great over there. And every Latin who escapes some like overly left country or dictator comes to Florida. It's just full of right-wing Latins. That's what Florida is. And Florida also provides entertaining news to close this episode on. So let's be honest. My coverage of Venezuela was a dud. But in all fairness, I don't know what's funny about it. I mean, people are suffering. They're upset about the election. I mean, what can you do? It's obviously probably not the results of the election, but it's also in Venezuela. So here's the problem. I had a hard time caring about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a hard time caring about it. Right now, I'm concerned with Britney Spears' mental health, and I am concerned with Americans winning the most medals in the Olympics. That's all I'm concerned with. And I'm concerned with some restitution against the French. Are we going to have to call them freedom fries again for what they did for our Last Supper? We should go back to freedom fries for a little bit because their opening ceremony was full of drag queens and DI hires. I watched that. I didn't even think about the Last Supper. I was just like, these are French people doing French stuff. And then you get on X and people like, this is the last horseman of the apocalypse. This is the fourth horseman of the apocalypse carrying the Olympic flame. This is them making fun of the Last Supper. This is them shitting on Christians. And when I watched it, I was just going, French people being weird. They had like dancers. It was, they had opera singers. It was just it was like we're watching Circus Olay. I was just going, these are French people being gay. Because that's what French people are. They're gay. So was this the Last Supper? What did they say it was? A scene from Ninth Planet with Bruce Willis? What was that movie called?
The Fifth Element.
Was this some scene from The Fifth Element recreated? What did the French say it was? They just said it was some French shit, right?
They said it's the Feast of the Gods on Mount Olympus.
Yeah, it's some fucking Pierre guy.
Some Greek shit.
Dancing around in his gay, flamboyant imagination. And the French going, bonsoir, bonsoir, bon blah, blah, blah. They're just being French, dude. They're just French. That's what did you see? When you watched that opening ceremony, did you think like this is the Last Supper or anything like that?
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, why are so many Christians tuning into the opening ceremonies? I think this is just to take away attention that there's two dudes who are taking hormones who are beating the shit out of chicks in boxing. But anyway, Florida provides, and we're going to follow up that dud in Venezuela with a fun story in Florida. Fun depending on how you look at it. A man in Florida who was in a coma for 244 days. And coincidentally, I just made a Derek video where he came out of a coma from 2021, not because of COVID, but because he broke the record for fireball shots at 317. And he was in a coma since 2021. And he's back up and ready for the Pink Lagoon Crockpit Flamingo. And then we get here and it's actually, the news is true. Here's a Florida guy who just comes out of a coma. He was in a 244-day coma, so he was in a coma for almost a year. And he comes out of the coma, and he lives his life for 6 years, probably smelling the roses every single day, living life, enjoying every moment. But he decides, like Florida people do, to do the thing that could probably put him right back in a coma the most. Ride a motorcycle to work every single day. And unfortunately, he survived the coma only to get struck by a truck 6 years later. But he probably had a sweet 6 years, right? And don't they age in Florida in dog years? So isn't 6 Florida years like 47 Northeast years? They live fast and hard down there. So I think he died a happy 90-year-old man. Of course he's in Jacksonville, which is actually where I made the fucking, you can go to my Instagram, it's where I made the Derek video. I moved him to Jacksonville. I think it's more southern in Jacksonville than Tallahassee. They're both fucking hillbilly fucking towns anyway. Not saying it's a bad thing. But unfortunately, we lost this guy after he decided to ride a motorcycle. If I came out of a coma, dude, I would definitely live my life, but I would go, you know what? Being in a coma sucked. I'm probably going to get the Cybertruck. I'm probably going to get something that makes sure my head is safe at all times. I'd probably walk around with a helmet, to be honest with you. If I spent 244 days in a coma, I'd probably walk around in a football helmet. Small business shout out, as always, to exclusiveautoshipping.com. If you're moving car out of state, if you're moving your car out of state, or if you bought your car out of state, hit up Jared Z for a free quote. Student and military discounts always apply. Salute the troops. Also, for the free .art, go peruse the website for music and bands in Hawaii. They'll be starting live shows again in December 2020. Nate Linder, guess who hired Nate Linder?
Who?
Me.
Wow, really?
Me and Nate Linder are officially working together, and according to him, so far, so good.
Oh, according to him.
According to him.
Okay.
We will see, but I trust him, and we'll see what happens. I have procured Nate Linder, so fuck with me now. I got Nate Linder on the team. He knows what he's doing. So NateLinder.com, if you need a digital marketer, if you want to rank number one on Google, you want to monetize, hire Nate Linder at NateLinder.com, because when you think marketing, you think Nate Linder, which is, I mean, is that a great slogan? It is. Think marketing, think Nate Linder. Because it makes me think Nate Linder. It really does. We'll see how he does. He could do very well. And then I'll really emphatically endorse him. So far, so good. But Nate Linder, I have hired him. True story. DisplayPros.net. If you're building a custom trade booth, retail fixtures, or any promotional items at all, hit them up. They'll work with you from soup to nuts to make sure your concept is perfect the way you like it. Tell them I sent you, get 10% off your first purchase at DisplayPros.net. MA Insurance Services. Are you a business or commercial property owner looking for peace of mind? MA Insurance Services can help you guys. They offer a wide range of commercial insurance policies, workers' comp, commercial property, and professional liability, general liability, and umbrellas. It's a local independent agency located in St. Petersburg, Florida. So you can be sure that you're getting personalized service that you just can't get with the larger agencies nowadays. That's very true. So hit them up, 727-475-1650. Now, realistically, if you get rejected by all the bigger agencies for whatever reason, give it a try with MA Insurance Services. Rebels-Raiders t-shirts now on rebels-raiders.com. If the word GOAT is on the shirt, then the profit of that shirt goes to GOAT Animal Rescues. This guy's out of his fucking mind in the best way possible. In the best, funnest way possible. Because he sells you military surplus. He's from California, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
He's from Cali.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was probably from like Alabama. I feel like he was somewhere in the woods.
Yeah.
Using Starlink to get reception.
Way off the grid.
Yeah. Or just on a VPN and this is a Ukrainian kid somewhere. I don't know. But get yourself ready for the coming apocalypse. And that's his copy. Military packs, load-bearing equipment, magazine holsters, stuff like that. And in peacetime, like I said, you can use the load-bearing equipment to lift yourself out of your scooter at the Chinese buffet in rural America. Magazine holsters. And during peacetime, I guess you could put a magazine in the holster.
Sure.
Like you could put Us Weekly in there. And then when the apocalypse comes, load it up with bullets. It's amazing value for your tax dollars. So go there. Backpacks, which is really what everyone wants. They're still in development. So there you go. We're just waiting on those backpacks because I want to tell you something, guy. I don't know how many of the fans that listen to this are into magazine holsters and load-bearing equipment. You should probably be trying to get a contract with Homeland Security or the Pentagon. You should be probably sponsoring a Pentagon podcast. I don't know. That former CIA guy's got a fucking self-help school. I mean,
Jocko.
Yeah, or Jocko, dude. I don't know how many people who are listening to this are preparing for the apocalypse. They're on their way to work, as we know, in their Subarus. So what they want is the fucking backpacks. They want what I want. But you know what? I'm going to hit him up and get a magazine holster and just wear it around my house. And every time my wife talks, I'm just going to go, I got a magazine holster. So be careful. Walk around with my goat shirt. PCB Tech Art. They got these new Chevy Silverado GMC Sierra Slim phone charge adapters. These things are a game changer. Say goodbye to low battery anxiety. These adapters keep your devices powered up on the move, ensuring you're always connected in the truck. So you can go buy that at PCB Tech Art. Also, PCBTechArt.com. PCBTechArt.com. Also, if you're a golf enthusiast or you just need some marketing swag, get some stylish, customized ball markers. You can get all types of stuff there. They got 3D printing, prototype services, concept to creation, mass production. They do it all for you. PCB Tech Art will build your idea, bring it to life with precision and speed. Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, or their team will ensure your prototype meets your exact specifications. Tell them I sent you. Use the code Yannis10 for 10% off your order.